Hi, I'm Bodie Drake, host of Public, the outdoor show that focuses on hunting and fishing public lands. A lot of my videos focus on gator hunting. Tonight I want to go over some of my gear I use when I'm gator hunting. Let's start with my fishing rod. First thing I like to do is I like to find an alligator, spot and stalk him, get up to him, and use a rod to pitch across him or make a longer cast to catch him. Alright, I'm using a 7-foot graphite rod with about a 6500 series or 5500 series spinning reel. Like I said, this is a 7-foot rod. You can use an 8 or 9-foot rod. You can cast a little bit further distance. I'm using a 7-footer. They're a lot easier to maneuver around. And I'm using about a 100-pound braided fishing line. This line, again, it's really heavy line for what we're doing. That reel is only going to be pulling 35 pounds of drag, so it's a little bit overkill, but if you get a nick or you hit the gator on the scoots, this stuff holds up very well. If I was using 60 or 80 pound line, I could probably get by with it. I could probably cast a little bit further. And then a real secret are these hooks that I use, these rigs. This is a 90-pound steel leader that I've braided 3 of them together. I crimp them up at the top, make a loop, and then I braid them together through just 3 strands of just a standard braid. Run my hook through it and then crimp the bottoms. And these things do not break. I've never had one of these things break on an alligator. No matter how much they roll, how much they chomp at my leader, they don't break. And I'll just attach this leader, this hook to my braid with a good old Palomar knot. It's a really, really strong knot that just doesn't give up with this braided line. You hook up to an alligator with this rig right here. The only way you're going to lose him is if he comes off the hook, which does happen occasionally. I'm using these hooks that are about 3 inches in size. They've got a 1-ounce built-in lead weight, so there's nothing dragging around the bottom. This is a real streamlined design. Really like this design. I cast it a long way and it hooks up and holds the gators really well. Another thing I do if I use these hooks occasionally, I'll grab a flat file. Like I said, if this is my second or third hunt with these hooks, I'll go around there and I'll sharpen these hooks before I use them, before I go on a hunt. A dull hook, guarantee you lose a gator. Alright, so that's my rod and reel. I don't go out into the swamp unless I have at least 3 of these rigged up. Because you snag a gator, he comes off, you grab another rod and catch him, or you miss, your buddy will be standing right there next to you and he can make a cast and catch a gator. Catch a gator. Then I keep at least another 3 of these rigged up in my toolbox somewhere, so if I break off, I got something rigged up and ready to go to tie on. I don't want to spend any time rigging these in the field. Again, I just want to tie it on and go. Alright, so once we get him on the rod, next thing I want to talk about is a big hook. This hook is a big hook. It's almost a boat anchor, right? You can see it's bigger than my hand, goes all the way up to my wrist, right? I've got this tied to some 3/8 crab trap rope. This rope is stiff, almost like a lariat. It doesn't tangle very easily. It stays good and straight when I'm trying to use it. And then I've ground the barbs off of my big hook here. You can see they're barbless. That way if we do a catch and release, this hook usually doesn't penetrate the gator, it just grabs them and you pull them up on the bank. If we do a catch and release, it doesn't get snagged up with the barbs on the outside of the gator. So I go barbless. It keeps me from having a lot of trouble. I've got about 30 or 40 foot of rope. Another thing I've got on this rope is I've got a knot about 10 or 12 foot up the line right here. So when I've got that gator on and I can't tell exactly where he is and I'm coming down the line, when I hit that knot, I know I'm about 10 foot away from him. I don't need to be getting any closer to him because I run the risk of getting hurt. And I tell my people whenever they're helping me, don't go past that knot when you're grabbing that line. Alright, the next piece of equipment I've got is my harpoon. Right? Again, these are high visibility. I got them painted orange so we can easily see the tips for safety so you don't bump into anybody. I got a reflective strip around here so if I throw it, it's easy for me to find. I got a 3/8 tip on the harpoon itself, and then my dart, I'm using Mozzie Darts. They've got barbs and they pull apart, so when you sink it in the gator, it doesn't pull out, right? And we got this attached to about a 3/8 rope that won't break. You can probably pull a car out of the ditch with this. I don't load this until we walk down to throw it at the gator. We don't leave these in the truck loaded. That's a safety hazard, and we don't want anybody getting hurt on a gator hunt. I got a standard lobster trap or crab trap float on the end of this, so I can just throw it and leave it and come back and get it. I can snag this with a rod and reel if I'm in a ditch, or I can drive my boat around and pick it up. I used a 44 Magnum bank stick, okay? I've used a 223, I've used a 12 gauge bank stick, I've used a 44 Magnum. 44 Magnum, I really like. I do not like a 223 bank stick. I've had those ricochet so many times. I also had a problem with the mechanism on the 223 bank stick. It misfired on me a lot of times. This one rarely misfires on me. So when I'm using the bank stick, I always tell my people, you want to make sure the safety pin's in first before you load it. Put the safety pin in. I'm gonna take the power head, I put the bullet in, and I never want to take the power head and bring it to the stick. The bullet could slide down and you might accidentally go off in your hand. It's very unlikely, but again, I don't want to take any chances when I'm gator hunting. I've got a 10-foot beast right there in front of me when I'm loading the bank stick. I don't drive around with this thing loaded. The only time it's loaded is right before you kill the gator. So you don't want to be dealing with the beast and be dealing with somebody getting shot too. So you got to play it safe. I load the power head and I bring the stick up to the bullet. Slide it all together. It's not coming apart then. The person steps up to the gator, pulls the pin once they're up there in position, bangs it. I've used a 12 gauge bang stick. I want to caution you, if you're making your own bang sticks, and I want you to learn the way I learned. If you take a 12 gauge power head and just screw it into the end of your dowel rod, like it's typically done with a 223 bang stick, it'll shatter the end of your bang stick, shatter the end of the dowel rod. Who knows where the power head's going to go? And it's a very dangerous situation. I did that one time and learned my lesson. You want to make sure you have a really good solid mount on these larger caliber bang sticks. And then after we bang stick the gator, the last piece of gear I use is my knife. I use a big buck knife, right? Pull this thing out. This is a 6 or 7 inch blade. It's a big blade. You want a big blade because going through a big gator, you just need a lot of surface area. You need a big, strong, tough blade to get through there and sever their spine. They're a big beast, and you really need a big piece of equipment to get the job done. Your standard 4-inch pocket knife, you know, it's really not going to get the job done. So get yourself a big knife if you're going to be knifing a bunch of gators. So thanks for watching my gator hunting gear overview, guys. If you have any more questions or comments, just write them right here below on my YouTube channel. Also subscribe to my channel. Who knows, maybe I'll address your questions in another video coming up. See ya and good luck.